Hello YouTube, Raymond Ward Solo here. Got another video for you. This time it's a DIY video, do it yourself. This is my 2006 Mac Pro. It's since been modified. There is another video in my channel here. I'll leave a link in the description box below to where I did some modifications to it. As it stands, it's the same as it was then. I had a lot of my stuff in storage. The hurricane came through back this past fall in August, Hurricane Matthew, and my storage locker got slightly flooded. The box that this computer was in soaked up the water, and even though it was wrapped tightly in this protective bag, you can see the moisture still got in, and the inside of the computer, it's all full of mildew. So far I've only seen mildew, but I really haven't looked at it really closely. About a week ago I tried to start it up. It would not start. The boot light on the power button would just blink. I found on the internet that that was a symptom of not enough RAM, or RAM not communicating properly. So that's when I took the side cover off and I saw all the mildew and the mold, and it stinks really bad. So I don't really know if it's got rust damage or anything like that, because like I said, I really haven't gotten into it really good. I've set up some lights here so I get a good look at the inside of it, and I thought I would put a video on YouTube for it too. So it was in this storage locker just like it was shipped to me, because I saved all that stuff. I had a couple other computers in there which survived, thank goodness. No problems with them at all. But I did have some other electrical equipment in there that did get all rusted and mildewed, and I ended up having to trash a lot of it, as well as a lot of clothes that I had too. Without further ado, I'm going to go on and open up this computer, and we'll take a close look at the inside of it and see what it looks like. So stand by. Okay, at first glance it looks alright. I mean, there's the back of it. It's got a little dust in it. This computer didn't see a whole lot of use until maybe the last year that I had it operating, and it had been in storage for probably a year. So I mean, you can see some dust and dirt here and there, but it doesn't look that bad really. But when I did open up the side, I could see it smelled. It smelled like a swimming pool. It smelled, you know, mildewed and nasty. I do have allergies, so I'm going to put a mask on before I open this thing up. So just stand by here for another minute and I'll take the side off of it. Okay, back again. I got a mask on. You should still be able to hear my voice pretty good. If not, I'll overdub some stuff or put some letters in. Okay, opening this computer up is quite easy. This little latch on the side here, you just pull it up like so, and this little thing comes off right here. Okay, let me take a quick look and then I'll zoom in real close here so we can see. This video is probably going to come out better than the last one I did because I've got more light than I did before. But let me take a quick look. Okay, well, I don't see any rust. It certainly looks and smells nasty. Let's start by taking out one of these daughter cards here, the RAM risers. Well, they look pretty darn clean of rust. I mean, they look dirty, but I don't see any rust on here at all. I don't really know how well this is coming through on the video. When I edit it, I'll be able to see, but oh, by the way, this computer has been sitting for a week, so all the capacitors are definitely discharged on it. Okay. The other RAM riser, they call it. It looks dusty and dirty, but I'm not seeing any rust. This is the second hard drive that I put in not long after I got the machine. Ooh, that looks pretty bad up under there. And it's right on the bearing. Right there is what I was talking about in the center. That's there's a bearing under there. That's probably a seat for the bearing. There's some electrical connectors, because inside here there are a bunch of discs, and they turn on a very precision axle and bearing. Or they float. I'm not sure exactly. I think they sit on a bearing though, but I still don't see any rust, which is the thing I was really worried about. Get in close there. You can see what I was talking about. This is a 1 terabyte Western Digital green, which is kind of the low-end, cheap hard drive. And here, these things are not coming out very easily. Here is that Western Digital black drive that I put in on the other video, which is in the description below. So this one looks a lot cleaner right there. You can see in the center. But you see it's all tarnished. The aluminum, which is not a good sign. The original hard drive, it's a Western Digital conveyor. It don't look too bad either. Alright, let's take out this is the mildew card, which is the audio interface card. Again, is that right side up? Yeah. mildew 424 audio interface. This is how you connect external A to D converters to this computer. Let's get this right there. There we go. Good shot of it. I went ahead and took the video card out. It's an NVIDIA 7300 series. Just an old-timey video card. Like I said, it don't look too bad. Okay, here's all the parts, all cleaned up. Made a drastic difference cleaning them up. You know, the motherboard right here. These are 2 heat sinks that were on top of some kind of processor or something. You know, the 2 risers, the RAM. Right there's the RAM. The mildew card, the video card, 2 heat sink covers. And there was another little card that was for the front plugs. And they're all cleaned up. I got a fan on them right now. They've been sitting up there for about a day and a half. I'm going to leave them up here for another day or maybe 2. There's the fans. The rear fans and the front fan right there. And the various covers. This is the tub that I cleaned them in. And this is what I used. I just filled that tub up with distilled water. I'll put 2 gallons of it in it. And used, took the simple green and just coated all the parts all the way around, front and back, with that simple green. And stuck them down in this tub of distilled water and just let them soak in there for about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes. And then I took them into the bathroom, put them in the bathtub and rinsed them off really good with cold water. And I just let it, you know, the water, rinse them off really, really good. And then I just stuck them up here in front of this fan. But then I'll put them back together. Let's see, we'll go over and look at the case. Pieces and parts all over the place. There's the case all taken apart. The hard drives and super drives right there. That's the super drive. I really can't, you know, I don't really want to immerse the super drive and the hard drives in the fluid, so what I'm going to do is just take a rag and just kind of damp it with that simple green solution and wipe them off best I can. And I'll do the same thing with the inside of the case and all the cables. I took a couple of pictures, really good detailed pictures with my iPhone before I took everything apart so you can see where all the cables go. The video I found online of a guy disassembling a Mac Pro like this, the power supply was a little bit different than mine. The screws that I took out didn't remove it. It wouldn't come out. So, but his was slightly newer. His was a 2007 and this is a 2006. This is a first generation. Well, actually, it's second generation. They put out 2 generations in 06, and I guess in 07 and 08 they put out different generations too. They were just slightly different. It looked almost identical on the inside as this one, but the power supply attachment was different. And I'm keeping this thing covered up because the case and everything still smells nasty. Still smells like a swimming pool. Like a moldy old swimming pool that hasn't been cleaned in a while. That's what it smells like. And if I don't keep it covered up, it makes the whole trailer smell nasty. You know, I've got my air cleaner running over here. And I got another one running back in my room. Like I said, I'm going to let them dry out for 2 or 3 more days. I'll come back, put them together, and we'll see if we'll fire this thing up. Okay, I'm going to go clean out this case here pretty good. I'm going to start off with, I need to vacuum out the inside part here where the super drive was because I didn't get in there real good. I really wish I could have got this power supply out, but well, it's raining pretty hard outside. This is the Molex cable bundle for all the hard drives. This is where they plug in the individual drives and the power sockets for them. Where's the power? Power sockets are right here. Here's the little power sockets. There's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. Once I get it cleaned out, I'll zoom in kind of close and you can get a good look at it. I'm wearing a mask again. This simple green, it doesn't have any phosphates in it, which is acetones, and it doesn't leave any residue when you clean with it. I'm guessing that's the reason why everybody uses it to clean electronics, because of the residue. I mean, this computer, it wasn't in a smoking environment or anything like that. It didn't have anything spilled on it. It was just the mildew and mold that had grown on the inside of all the... It had dust in it to start with, and once that dust got wet, it mildewed and molded over the period of the month that it sat in there wet. So that was the problem with it, because I never smoked around it or anything. I gave up smoking about the time I got this computer. I used to a big square. I don't smoke, drink, or anything. So there's some pretty nasty stuff coming off of there. I'm gonna get these cables too. Let's just spray some stuff on the rag to get these cables. Doing this stuff, cleaning a computer like this, it really doesn't take a long time. There's a little bit of work involved. It's not hard work, it doesn't take long. What takes the time is waiting for all the stuff to dry out. This right here will dry out fairly quickly because I'm not immersing it. It probably wouldn't hurt to immerse it, but I couldn't get the power supply out. So I'm really not going to go that far with it. This is probably kind of long and boring. I'll be editing a lot of this stuff out. This stuff is cleaning it really good. And this stuff is cleaning it really good. It's getting all that junk off of there. All that mildew and mold that was on there. It's coming right off. So you can see it on this rag. This out of here real good. Ooh, nasty. Just doing this little bit right here is making a world of difference. Cleaning up really good. Right down these cables that are inside here too that I didn't unhook. There's 4 cables that are hooked into the power supply. Cleaning them off too. I don't want to be too hard on that area right there because those are some thin wires. That's the power button right there. But I vacuumed out this really good several times while I was taking parts out. I vacuumed out a little bit, take some stuff out. Some more dust bunnies would show up and I'd vacuum out a little bit more. Take some more parts out. Because most computers are just, they're not as modular as this. I guess that's the best way to describe it. There's another part right here I want to get. Yeah, all these chrome pieces and stuff. And the top. Yeah, oh gosh. That is really nasty. Ooh, that is mold. Mildew. And there's more up under there. Right here. Gotta rub it really hard to work it off. Yeah, that is definitely mold or mildew. It's where that, when that dust caught all that water and started turning to mildew, it got kind of weird, kind of sticky. Starting to look better now. I bet it smells a hell of a lot better too. Because with all those components, they're small and I could just spray them down and stick them in that distilled water. It was quite easy. I think I still have my mask on then too. Most of it is out. There's still a couple little spots. I've gotten most of it out. It looked pretty bad right up here on the top. But now, it's starting to look pretty clean up in there. And this rag here is going to the trash can. One more little spot up in there. If I can find an area that's got some simple green on it. A little spot right there. Well, that looks 100% better. There's the super drive. It did not really get that nasty. It looks pretty clean on the back actually. But I'm still going to wipe it down. Let me get another rag, a fresh rag. I'm just going to wipe it down, give it a wipe. And I'll do the same thing with those hard drives. Here's the original drive. Apart here. These shuttles have got a lot of nasty stuff in them too. A lot of nastiness. Well, let's see what happens. Well, it's wiping off. This is the 500 gig drive that came with the computer. OS 10 Tiger. That's freaking old right there. Old school. Well, it looks cleaner. Hey, we got more parts in there. I put the shuttles and a couple other plastic parts in there. They were pretty nasty. This solution's getting pretty dirty because I put everything else in there, so it should still work all right. That Simply Green's pretty strong. Take a look at the case here real quick. You can see it was really nasty in there. And all I did was put that Simple Green on a rag and just wipe it off. There might still be a little dust here and there, but the majority of it is gone. Right up in there, it was really, let's back off a little bit, right up in there it was really, really nasty. It got pretty darn clean. It was like gray all the way across the top pretty much. Dark gray instead of space gray. But there she is. I'm going to clean this top off. I'm going to clean the top and the back, the outside and the bottom. I still got to do that. But after I do that, it should be in pretty good shape. The power plugs for these hard drives that you install with these little shuttles, they've got a little thin cable that goes around the back, and it's separate from the actual data port cable. So I've got three, like I said, three of them already hooked up, and I'm gonna see if I can get in close and you can get a good look at it. Okay, there's the number 4 data and power plug area for the shuttles on the hard drives. This the only one I haven't plugged in, so I'm going to try my best not to block the camera so you can see, but it's not too hard. You just got to make sure that you got the plug turned the right direction. The first couple times I tried it, I had the plug turned backwards, and the contacts are offset a little bit from the front of the plug. You have to have it facing the right direction so it'll go in. It went in right there. Underneath this blue circuit board, and there's a connector. You really can't see it from this side. If you took this cover off, you could, but there's so many screws here, as you can see, that it's just a pain in the butt. And I don't think they designed it to be removed either. Okay, so the data port cable, these just sit right here, and there's some screws that hold it on. You got to make sure you got your some things out of the way, and this needs to be over top of it so you can manipulate the plug. This plug right here is where the power going across here that plugs into here goes into the motherboard, which I haven't put in yet, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's see if I can get these hooked up first. I'll zoom in just a little bit closer maybe, and you can see. Okay, these screws look drastically different than anything else in the computer there. And you can tell that these are the screws that go in here because they're countersunk. One of my few gripes with this computer was it would have been good if it had been easy to take this back plate out, or easier. It's just way too many screws. I'm going to run these all the way down, but I'm not going to tighten them super tight. Got to make sure these wires are tucked in nicely, and all these other wires have space to move around because I don't have the motherboard in, so I can't tell exactly where they're going to be plugged in at. I remember where pretty much all of them go, and I did take a couple of really good pictures with my iPhone, which has a really good camera on it, before I took it all apart. That will make it a little bit easier. But you can see they just screw on right there, and those shuttles slide down in these little things here, these little slots, and just pops right in there. No cables. I'm also, got to make sure I've got, these cables routed pretty good. I think I'm going to bring this one over top and just push these out of the way. So now I think I got a good amount of room in here. And these little things here that you screw the motherboard onto, you kind of tuck the cable back behind it, because this bundle of cables is routed not only optimally but strategically. Okay, something else I wanted to point out. There's a lot of these little, if you can see that or not, see these little cables that are just sitting in the bottom of the in the bottom of the unit. There's like 3 or 4 of them. They were just laying there like that. They weren't hooked up to anything. I'm not sure exactly what they're for, but one of them is marked 1, one of them is marked 3, and the other one is marked, see, that one fell off of there, but one of them is marked 2, 1, 2, and 3, and they've got a piece of plastic, a rubber around the conductor part, so apparently it's used for something that was extra for this machine that I didn't have. Maybe it's airport or something like that. I'm just not really sure exactly what it was used for, but they were underneath, just sitting just like that. The other one's like this, so I'm just, leaving them like that, making sure that rubber piece is still on top of that contact so it doesn't short out on something. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is hook up this little daughter board, the connections that are on the front of the machine. You got USB, a couple of fire wires, and it's a headphone jack. But it goes right down here. Alright, continuing on, I've got the small board that interfaces the power button and the FireWire and USB cables on the front of the machine. I think the next thing I have to do is maybe try putting this speaker back in, plug it up, and see what happens. I put the speaker in. I only stuck one screw in it because I might be taking it back out if it don't work. And I hooked up the cables that go to that circuit board. And now I'm about to install, as you can see, the motherboard back in. It's going to go back in there hopefully without too much trouble. I got everything all cleaned off, but I still got to put thermal paste on these 4 areas and put the heat sinks over top of them. But first I want to make a little dry fit and see how easily this goes back in. It was not easy to get out. It was quite difficult. So I'm thinking it's going to be difficult to get back in. 630-7608 main logic board. I got the motherboard in. It was a bit of a pickle, but I had to get it. The key was taking this this little cover that goes on the back here. Except it goes on this side. It goes on this. It goes on this side, on the inside, facing out. And this little ring goes on it too. For some reason, I don't know why they got this little ring. I had to make sure and pull that out. When I pulled that out, the well, here, let me just show you. Okay, so you can see the hole there in the back. Right there, that hole. That's where this was sticking through. It made a nice little inconvenient lip. Let me get in a little bit closer. For that rear panel connections for USB and things like that, it was like catching on the corner of it. So, and I didn't even see the bolts. They're on the screws. They're on the outside, and they're very weird shaped, and they're really recessed inside. And I thought it was welded on there or something. And I just happened to take a really good look at it. I was like, wait a minute, there's some screws there. And they're really small. Luckily, I had a screwdriver that would get them. It really takes a smaller screwdriver than even this is. This is a little jeweler screwdriver. It takes a real tiny one. Another tip, them screws are on the outside. Getting that little plate off. It's a vent cover and it looks cool. Which is, Apple thing. But I don't mind, I just wish I'd have seen the screws sooner. It's time to do some more reassembling of this computer. I've got pretty much all the wiring hooked back up, the motherboard back in. I'll do a really good shot of that here in a minute. But I've got to, you see that? Yeah. It's my thermal paste. Got to put that like under here, right on there, and under these little things, under these heat sinks here as well. There's 4 heat sinks in total. I'm not sure what those small black ones are for, but the 2 silver ones, this one and this one, that's for the main CPU units. We'll do a little close-up of the motherboard and the separate little daughter board for the front panel. All the plugs and stuff I had to put in. Okay, there she is. Get a little bit there. All put back together. Okay, there's the top part. I'm just going to slowly move around here. You can see all the wires and plugs. The CPU heat sinks and the other two heat sinks are all in place now. This heat sink right here, this one on the bottom, the B processor heat sink, it was a pain in the butt to get to because my, as you can see, yeah, it's a little bit too short, isn't it? I have to measure this. I would suggest one that's at least 8 inches long. That would probably be enough to clear it. 9 or 10 inches would probably be optimal. So you can see it's only like 6 inches. And that just wasn't enough. It's just barely enough to fit in there. That's it's actually in there, and there's only like just less than an inch clearance between the heatsink and the T-handle. So, and then you got this side of the case to deal with when you get to these inside ones here. These inside here and here. A good 2 more inches, I would say at least 8-inch T-wrench from here to here. At least 8 inches is what you need to efficiently take these up. I did get them on and off, but it wasn't easy. If I had to do it again, I believe I would try and find a 3mm that was longer. So screws and bolts are, they're stainless steel. Got my thermal paste on there. This thermal paste here actually came with a little applicator too, and that'll probably clean off most likely. Insignia thermal conductive compound is a grease-like silicone material heavily filled with heat conductive metal oxides. This combination promotes high thermal conductivity, low bleed, and high temperature stability. This compound resists changes in consistent temperatures up to 572 degrees Fahrenheit or 300 Celsius. It's basically silicone and little metal particles. If it's heat conductive, probably copper. Because copper is quite, well, let's see if it says here what is actually in it. See if I can find an ingredients. I don't think it ever dries out. It can wash out good with alcohol, I know that. Anytime you remove these heat sinks, you're supposed to do that. Reapply it. Plus, this computer had gotten water damaged and mold and mildew damaged, which when I took them off, there was thermal compound still there, so I was afraid that it had all gotten washed out, but there was still thermal compound there. I'll come back with a little more video when I get a little bit further along. Well, it cranked one time, but I got a bunch of messages up on the computer, and it restarted again. As it says, your computer clock is set to a date before January 2008. May cause some applications to behave erratically. If I can get this set up before it tries to reboot again. The mouse is working. It is set for December 31st, 2000. Boy, what is happening? I think it's going to restart again. Yep. It won't stay running long before it wants to restart. And that's really weird the way it's moving around the screen like that. You need to restart your computer. Hold down the power button until it turns off, then press the power button again. The computer's working again. It told me that I had to insert the installation disk to complete the repairs for permissions, but I can't find. I've got it here somewhere, but I can't find it. But it seems to be working okay right now. When I went to the internet, it worked, but it kept telling me every time I went to the website that it couldn't verify the website or something like that. But it went to the website. I would just click continue, and it would go to the website. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me hide this. I just threw a movie in. I'm going down here to Safari. See, it says can't verify identity. If I just hit continue, it takes me right into the website. Let's go back and watch this movie. The computer is fixed and working. And everybody saw that I had it soaking, all the parts taken apart, and I cleaned them, physically cleaned them, put it all back together, and it's working now. It wouldn't even boot before. There you have it. Alright, as you can plainly see, the computer is running again. Now, I took some video earlier, and you saw the computer tore apart. You saw the parts of the computer soaking in simple green and distilled water. And now, see, there's the light on. You can plainly see that I've put it all back together, and it is. Well, I left that one panel on the back off because it was such a pain in the butt to put it back together. This computer is so hard. I'm sorry to be complaining on video to everybody in the world, but this computer was very, difficult to disassemble. Get a close-up in there. You can see it is all squeaky clean in there. All squeaky clean. It does not smell like mold and mildew anymore. It smells like electronics now. When I first booted it several days ago, it didn't want to work. I mean, it would start. It didn't know what time it was, and I kept getting a bunch of prompts. What I had to do was go through and run the disk utilities. I ran it one time, and it started working again, verifying the disk, giving permissions, checking and repairing permissions for the disk. That's a big thing with Macintosh computers. And when it got done, it said that it needed to be repaired further, but it needed to start from the actual installation disk. And what it does is when you boot to the disk, the installation that you do on the hard drive is not running. The disk is actually running out of the CD-ROM drive, or in this case super drive, which is a DVD drive. I'm going to go through and run these again and hopefully it will fix the clock and fix everything else. The Mode 2 A to D converters, they're working fine. I didn't have to go and reset up anything. They just started working fine right out of the well, not out of the box, but when I plugged it back in. Kind of strange to say out of the box when it's been out of the box for 10 or 15 years now, but that is still working fine, no problem. So I'm going to go through here real quick, and let's see, I'm going to select Snow Leopard OS. I don't know if anybody watching this video has watched my other video on upgrading this computer. I actually partitioned the drive into 4 different drives, and what we're going to do is we're going to verify disk first. I'll stop the recording and come back when that is done. It's just going through and checking all of the data, the little ones and zeros on the hard drive itself, but it's doing it at a very finite level. OS SL 10.68, which is what this is, was found corrupt and needs to be repaired. Error, this disk needs to be repaired. Click repair disk. Okay, it stopped in the middle because it couldn't get any further, so we're going to do repair disk here, and we're going to let it run. I will be back in a second. Okay, you can see that in green it says here volume OS SL 10.68 was repaired successfully. It checked and repaired extensions flow files, multi-link files, catalog hierarchy, attribute files, bitmap, volume information, HFS plus volume, rechecking, repairing volume. Apparently some numbers were wrong. It said it should be 129572 instead of 129553. So I'm going to go ahead and verify disk permissions as well. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, verified disk permissions is complete. Now we're going to do a repair. Just in case, I'm not really sure if anything needs to be repaired, but I'm going to go ahead and run it anyway. So I'll be back in a minute. Alright, repair disk permissions is complete. The moral of this is that this whole thing, just because a computer gets dirty on the inside and stops working doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. Also, this little side note here, having an actual system disk, a physical disk, CD, DVD disk, whatever is supplied, is very important to have, because it told me, and it actually told me, it said, you know, it can't fix from the hard drive. I need to reboot to the disk and run the disk utilities again, which is what I just did. And I'm going to go through and run them on each of these drives here just to make sure. Just because something gets dirty or wet, this computer was so full, you really couldn't see really good from the video that I took, but if anybody would just walked in this room where this computer was sitting with it open, you would have been almost knocked out by the smell of mildew and mold. All of the circuit boards and everything, they had this kind of green, in some places it was black film all over them. And that simple green just took it right off. And after I cleaned it off was let these parts sit for about 4 or 5 days. Had a fan blowing on them for a while. Well, that's all I've got for this video. It was a very big job. I want to tell you, this isn't something that someone with no kind of knowledge at all with computers would want to do. I'm just glad that there was nothing wrong with the software or anything, because that's where you really need someone with a lot of troubleshooting experience. If you've got some kind of bad problem with software, all this hardware, it's nothing. It's really not that hard for me. because I've been working with it for a while. But if you don't know anything about computers, I would advise anyone not to even attempt this. Also, having a lot of knowledge of circuit boards and electronics would be very helpful too.